Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first live show of the X Bookclub. It's very exciting. This round is the environment round, and we're talking about Unbowed by Wangari Maathai and The Future We Choose, which I have a stupid copy of, but I promise it's The Future We Choose. And yeah, it's going to be good. So yeah, I
Aw.
don't know what else to say.
No, I can't actually tell if we have officially gone live. I'm just going to do a little checking.
Okay. I can see live 30 seconds. Oh, now my computer's going stupid. So hopefully I haven't just said hello to an empty void. We shall
Yeah,
see.
it probably has. It's so funny. It does say live, so I'm sure it's
Oh, that's
absolutely fine.
good.
Yeah.
Oh, and
So
we can. Oh, sorry, what were you going to say?
no. I was just going to say, um, how are you? How is everything?
I'm all right, thank you. Nothing much has been. Well,
Good.
actually, things have been happening in my life for once. Just work, which is um well, fun sometimes. I should probably say
Yeah.
that I work in care. Like I'm not just like hecking going out to the office in lockdown.
Oh
Um,
yeah. No.
yeah, I just thought I should
Yeah.
clarify that. But yes, how are you? How is your life?
Yeah. Everything is all right with me. Thank you. Everything's doing fine. I'm doing fine. So, how did you overall enjoy the reads?
Oh, that is a good question. I've still yet to rate this one on Goodreads, but those of you who follow me on Goodreads, you will know I gave this a 3 stars, The Future We Choose, and I in my head, but not on Goodreads yet. This is a 5 star read for me. So overall, 4 stars. Yes. What about
Overall,
you?
4 stars. Nice. I know we have differing ratings on this one. I gave this 5 stars. I think that might have been too high, but I was pretty excited about it when I was reading it. So that's why I gave it 5 stars. I liked
Yeah.
what it did. And then 5 stars for Wangari.
Oh,
This woman is just the best, isn't she? She's just the
she's
best.
incredible. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
so glad you gave both of them 5 stars and you
Yeah. I
enjoyed both.
mean, I do. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on the future we choose
Oh,
because
I'm
I
excited.
feel yeah, I feel like I may be like lowering some ratings down, but we'll see. But before we get into the books, I just want to say on Twitter, I've started a poll for the next topic for round two. So if you anybody wanted to go over there and vote for the next topic, so there's going to be either social psychology, sleep, race studies, or poverty is what we're going for. So, kind of social consciousness is like the theme of the book club, I think. Try and educate ourselves a bit on the world and everything. Yeah, so I'll put it in the description. I haven't yet, but I'll put the link in the description. So after this is finished, it should be able to just click it down and then vote. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
great.
we will announce like the books that we've chosen and stuff in a couple of weeks for that. I reckon once we know what topic we're going to choose.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. Although I've enjoyed these books, but I'm looking forward to the next round as well, I think. I hope everyone else is at home as well.
Yes, exactly. Cool. So should we start with the future we choose?
Yes.
Do you want to just run over your thoughts quickly?
Yes. Oh, I forgot to say that I've got the note that came with it because it is an arc. Um, and well, I read this and I got myself really excited because I thought, oh, this is going to be a really scientific book. Um, because well, the paragraph it says there, I don't know if this is actually illegal to show, but whatever, I'm going to do it anyway. Um, it says in our book, we offer 2 scenarios: the world as it will look and feel by 2050 if we fail to reach the targets agreed upon under the Paris Agreement, and the world as it will look and feel if we act in a timely fashion. And that is the first sentence. So I thought that's what this book was going to be. But oh, I'm holding it upside down. That's the front cover. Um, that was only for like how much of the book was that? Was it that much? Like
It
that
was the
much?
first part. Yeah, the projections were the first part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just really sad about that because I was thinking it was going to be this, yeah, lots of science in it, and it wasn't. It was just kind of, I think it's accessible though, which is good. But yeah, that's what I was expecting. And then I wasn't too bothered about that at first. I thought, okay, maybe they'll make some good points. And I think they did make some good points. But I just have so many opinions, and I feel like I'm talking for too much. So
No, that's
basically,
fine.
yeah, I don't know. I'll reserve my opinions for now if you'd like to say overall what you thought of
Well, I
everything.
mean, it's funny you say that, because actually my thing, I thought the opposite. So I guess my expectations was what it was, because I kind of wanted a clear map to what like I could do to help the environment, and that's what it was essentially. It was like, so if people haven't read it, the first part was the two different scenarios if we did nothing about to act against climate change, or if we did everything we could, and what life would be like in 2050. And then it went right onto like your attitude and how your outlook really helps kind of push you along if you stay like optimistic and things like that. And then it goes into a 10-step guide of things you can do. And then at the very end, there's a kind of a shorter guide, like what you can do today, what you can do tomorrow, next week, blah, blah, blah. And for that reason, I really liked it, because that's what I was looking for into it. I was interested in the two world scenarios, definitely. And I thought that was put across very well. But I understand what you mean. If you wanted like the nitty gritty science, that's not what it was at all. It's more of like a just kind of activist companion guide. This is what we suggest you can do to help. Yeah. So were you kind of at the end of it, were you, even though you're disappointed, were you happy with the content that it was like, or?
I think I have mixed feelings about that as well. Like, I thought a lot of it was good as like an introduction, but I think also a lot of it I thought, I don't know why this, but I thought that a lot of it was kind of a bit more obvious and stuff, and that people could kind of already know. But I'm not sure if that's just because like I've been surrounded by people who like advocate to support the environment anyway. Like I think if you don't know much about how to like oh god, I'm not good at speaking. If you don't know much about how to support the environment in your daily life, I think it's really good. But there are a few things. Am I like breathing really heavily on this? I don't know. Oh yeah, do you like my cool recording thing? I just thought I'd slip that in there. I feel like a pilot or something. Anyway, I didn't mind that aspect as much either, but I think one of the main things that bothered me is that it came not just this book, but I feel like a lot of environmental activists don't realize how much privilege there is in like doing all of these things. So, for example, having a plant-based diet, like I tried to have a plant-based diet, but it is more expensive, and like meat is so cheap because it's like subsidized so heavily by the government. And I think people who maybe want to think more about how they can be reduce their impact on the environment, who don't have that much money, I don't see how they could do that. And that's the kind of thing I wanted the book to tackle, like how do you suppose that could happen? And I don't think it mentioned subsidizing like harvesting vegetables and plant-based diets more, which I found a bit sad. So yeah, that was a big thing that I thought could have been included that hasn't been included, and lots of people don't recognize as well. But yeah, that was one of the things.
Do you mean because they didn't talk much about plant-based diets? Is that
more so they talked about it, but they didn't tell you how to implement it if you can't afford it? Because for me, I hardly eat any fruits and vegetables because it's so expensive. And they don't talk about like poverty or anything. Like they just assume that anyone can do this.
Yeah,
And
you're right.
really, it's quite difficult for some people because fruit and vegetables are quite expensive compared to meat and crisps and biscuits and whatever else, dairy products. So I think that bothered me a bit.
Yeah. That's a very important thing to say, and it's something shamefully I didn't notice, probably because I am privileged enough to be able to afford those things. And then also because I've been vegetarian since I was 5, so I don't know anything different. So I don't know how much meat costs, you know. So it's interesting that you say that, because I have heard obviously the argument that it's much cheaper to just eat a meat diet, but I guess I never see it in practice. So yeah, you're right. That would be a good thing to talk about, definitely.
Yeah.
Within
I didn't know you're vegetarian. Oh, sorry.
No, I'm veggie.
So
Since 5.
that's so cool.
Yeah, but like you say, that is a privilege to be able to do that. So
yeah. Oh, sorry. I feel like I just like kind of went on a rampage then, and I didn't really I just spoke and spoke.
No, it's really, you make really good points, and because shamefully I didn't think about it, I don't know how to respond, because I feel like I need to read it back and kind of, you know, think about it more. But you're right, it would be interesting if anybody knows about other books that could be read that where they do kind of think about that more. And I know what you're saying about how people, it's kind of obvious to you how you could help the environment, but sometimes I feel like I don't know, like sometimes I feel like I need a bit of a push to actually, you know, when it comes to writing to the government about things you're concerned about, I never have the guts to do that. So for me to read it and like have it broken down as like the different steps was really helpful. Sorry, I just saw a comment. I'm just gonna see.
Oh, that's exciting.
Hello.
Oh
yes.
Oh yes, I'm so glad you said that. Oh, I know who that is. That's funny.
Yeah, that was Hannah's genius to make them one plant.
I don't know if we can we share that on that? I don't know how to, because I know sometimes people have comments at the bottom.
Yeah, I think if you click over it, it says show. So I'll do it now, but I think
I think I clicked it at the same time as you. I'm so happy that it worked and that it's being appreciated.
Yeah, it's cool.
I can't remember what you just said now. Oh
no, I can't remember what I was saying now either. But yeah, it was. Yeah, I feel like I need to read it again and to like fully appreciate what you were saying.
I think it's just because I'm used to being poor as like a student and getting like 6 sausages for like 50p, and then when I tried to get plant-based ones, I was like, oh my god, this is so expensive. Like Lyndon McCartney ones like £2.20 or something. So what's that, 6, 12, 18, like over 3 times the amount. And well, now I can afford it, but yeah, I don't know, man. Hopefully plant-based sausages would be cheaper in the future. We shall see.
I think they are definitely getting cheaper. Like if I compare to when I was first vegetarian, there was nothing around, and now there's so much more. So hopefully it will be easier, and also things taste more like meat, which for me doesn't bother me, but I know for my partner, he's quite happy to have a veggie sausage or burger because they're tasting more and more like the meat ones. So yeah, it's
sorry, I'm not laughing at you, I'm just laughing at the comment.
Oh yeah. No, that's fine.
I completely agree, and it's so lovely to see, like, so when I first started, I can't remember what it was now, like 2 years ago. Even 2 years ago, there was a bit of range, but it was mostly Quorn. And now like Tesco's do their own stuff, like Plant Chef it's called. Oh my god, it's so good, and it's like cheaper than the like branded stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is progress. I just need to wipe my nose. There we go. How delightful. I swear I'm not diseased. I just have a bit of a runny nose.
JK, is that the name? Sorry, I don't
that's Tom.
Oh, is that? Oh, hello.
I know.
Did he also read the books?
He doesn't read anything I ask him to read, so no, he didn't. Well, maybe after this he'll want to. But the reason he put JKL, I don't know whether to select I don't know if I can select the comments is that when he was making his Google account, he just like slammed his hand on the keyboard, and that's what came up. So that's why it's JKL. There's a fun fact. Tom's my partner, by the way. He's not just like some person I stalk or something.
Are you sure? Yeah, he's made a good point. It could be because it's a very international book, so which is true. So I don't know. We don't know how things compare in other countries with price of meat and stuff.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So let me just see. Yeah, one of the things I wanted to talk about really was the like the way they talked about attitude towards the environment, and I think those few chapters just on the different mindsets that you need in order to overcome this huge problem and band people together, I thought was really important, especially for like today and everybody's attitudes today. You know, I think there's a lot of negativity out there with everything, partly because of social media and, you know, exacerbating everything. But it really helped me to read. So if people haven't read the book, I'll just quickly tell you. But yeah, so there was 3 mindsets. So stubborn optimism, endless abundance, which is basically learning that nothing is endless. Was the point of that part, Hannah? I can't quite remember now. I read it quite a while ago. And radical regeneration, and this whole attitude of not being afraid of change and kind of moving goalposts when to make things better, and not kind of trying to really idolize the past and hold on to the past and not want to let it go. And, you know, that part I found really, it's kind of important, because I think today as well, especially with the divide that's so much in this country and like what you're kind of seeing in the USA at the moment for all the elections, everybody clings on to what they know and their ideals and don't move. Like everybody's immovable, and you kind of have to, in order to work, you have to work together to make things better. And so you have to kind of be a bit more lenient with stuff and try and be optimistic about it, not be like, oh, we can't do this, you know, this is. And so I found that really important part of the book, definitely. So was there anything particular about the book that kind of you found interesting, or things that you learned?
I think it was more, oh blimey, that's a good question, because I feel like it kind of, I don't want to be harsh on it though, because I think it's a good book in some ways, but for me it just wasn't my cup of tea. And what you were saying with the attitudes, I think that's important as well, but at the same time I felt like it was a bit angry, and I don't know if you thought it was a bit angry, but obviously we should, a lot of us will want to be angry about the things that have been happening. But I feel like for some people that doesn't work necessarily. Like for me, when I get angry about something, it's not productive at all. And I think more so when I'm passionate about something, passionate about optimism and things that can change, it works better for me. I'm just going to drop in Greta Thunberg here. She always says she wants people to panic. And I'm like, I don't want to panic, thank you very much. I want to be nice and calm and civilized about things. And so I think that's something that is quite common in climate activism as well, is that this kind of one size fits all approach to activism. And although that, I definitely think that we should all unite together in this, but I think people have different ways of doing that. Like the goal I think should be the same, but how you approach the goal might be different between different people and stuff. But yes, that is an opinion.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I feel like when like Greta Thunberg says about panic, I a lot of my emotions do come out in rage, I guess. Like I do feel very cross about things, and then want people to change, and kind of that is my response, is to panic about it. But you're right. But if people don't have that panic response or that anger, like why are we going to change? Or how how we're going to find ways around it, and or are we just going to wait and get to 2050 and then everything's kind of a disaster? Like for yourself, what do you think would help you be kind of, well, you're very conscious anyway, obviously, about the environment and things like that, and do your bit. So, but yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is, what kind of attitude in a book would help you and inspire you? Because I found this book really inspiring, and I could feel the anger, but I found it to be really optimistic. So it is really interesting to me that you only felt the anger rather than the optimism. So it's just well, I'm gonna cheat a little bit now and talk about this book quickly. I'm gonna sneak something in.
Yes.
The camera's like flipped, so I'm holding it here, but it's like, to me it's opposite, so I'm getting confused.
Oh no, that's all right. I can see it the right way around.
Yeah. So, was this book more inspiring to you?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. So
that book. Oh, I'll get onto it in a minute, but I thought that was really brilliant. Oh yes, it was very good. I think that's what inspires me, is when people are so driven, but they're very positive about it. So I think this is why I came off social media, is that it feels like there is so much anger about everything, and people who you disagree with. I'm thinking of like Piers Morgan and his posse, and people who like him, they're all very angry, and then the people who don't like him are very angry. And well, I'm on the side of the latter, obviously, but I just don't think, I don't know about anybody else, but when someone is angry, I don't really listen to them, because I feel like it's not an engaging conversation. Someone is just very restricted in their views and just saying what they think. But I think maybe a book that kind of teaches us how to communicate with people who don't believe the same things that we do, like having an open conversation, how to do that, how to not belittle people who know less than us, stuff like that, I think would be really beneficial in a book about, well, maybe not even just environmental things, but just in general, like how to speak to people, not how to change people's minds as such, I guess, but just how to not have an argument, just how to talk one to one. But I think that's difficult, because the other side have got to do that at the same time. Otherwise, they'll just be angry and shout their views, and it's like, oh, it's so difficult. But yeah,
it is really difficult, and it's very heightened at the moment, because that is like everybody's attitude. And there's families that argue, and everybody is cross with the state of everything from whatever point of view. And we do need to find that middle ground and find out a way that works, and the communication, and kind of be open to hearing other people's opinions without completely shutting down.
yes,
Which is really hard to do in practice, because when you hear people ranting about something that you really like disagree with, to kind of listen to the points of views can be challenging. But we have to find a way to break through that. And so, did you think that the book, The Future We Choose, did you think it was too much like them just telling you this is what you've got to do?
Yeah, I feel like it was. Yeah, that's the end of my answer, really. I don't know what more to say than I feel like it was a bit like, it's a bit like, we know better than you, these are the things you should be doing. That's how I felt. But at the same time, like, I think it's helpful for some people to be able to take these points if they hadn't necessarily thought of them, and to implement them. So I think it can be helpful for a lot of people as well. I have mixed feelings.
It's really interesting to hear. It's really interesting. What did you think about the scenario about the eco city with like trees everywhere and everything like that?
I would love to see that in real life. That would be amazing. Like, some countries are trying to do that. I think where was it? Did they mention somewhere in Asia, like Eastern Asia or somewhere, where they have like garden roofs on all these like blocks of, oh god, I'm so terrible at speaking, like skyscrapers and stuff, or
I think so. I can't remember where they said now, but I think so. There's definitely like lots of push for eco cities. Yeah, I ended up geeking out and I bought an Eco City textbook because I was like, how can I make my town eco-friendly?
Yeah.
And like, but there's quite a lot of trees around where I live anyway. But I think that would just be amazing to just have vegetation everywhere and have like growing food everywhere and community gardens. I just love that idea so much.
That'd be so.
Yeah, it would be amazing just having trees everywhere. It would be good. Yeah, so I'm trying to think what else I wanted to say about this book. I mean, I don't know if it's because I like to be told what to do sometimes, like within like when I can't think for myself and like I can't think how to solve a problem. I don't. So I really appreciated kind of the very hard line, like this is what you should do, way to it. And I like the fact that they talked about kind of carbon budgeting and the different countries. So like obviously the well-developed countries have to kind of really, really make more sacrifices than the developing world because they need a help up. So it's not about only completely cutting carbon out completely everywhere because that's not fair because we've obviously caused all the damage in our societies and everywhere else has really, really suffered, especially because in like the developing countries, you tend to be in areas where they're most affected by climate change. So we've like done all of this to the world, and then they have to deal with it immediately. And so it's kind of like I felt it was important for them to talk about that and kind of have to know that we have to take sacrifice in order to help everybody. Yeah, so I liked a lot of what they said, but I do hear what you're saying, and I think you're right. If you can't afford to do those things, then how can you help? Because really, when it comes to the person, the way it's money, isn't it? It's what you're buying is dictating what people are selling. So if you can't afford to do that, then what's the answer? Like maybe there should be more charities for people to like eat help. There's probably loads already, I don't know, but maybe that's something to look into for if people are better off maybe and they want to help. Maybe it's funding something like that in order to help families go more veggie and eat more veggie and kind of just help each other out in that way. So yeah, it's interesting. Cool. Okay, so do you want to talk about Wangari?
Okie dokie. I don't know what really to say about her other than that I think she's brilliant. Well, she was brilliant.
She
and
was.
I really don't. Oh, am I hitting the microphone? To say other than that, like she's just brilliant, and that I can't believe she achieved so much in her life. I'm like,
yeah.
I just trying to like. I finished it today, but trying to comprehend, like just how much she's done is like 100 people, 1,000 people, 2,000 people might not even achieve collectively, but she's done it all in one life. And I'm like, how have you done this? So that was the main thing I got from it, is like she's very, very inspiring. And I'm so glad that you found this book and recommended it for this because oh my god. Yeah,
I'm really glad I found it as well. I couldn't believe it. Like as I was reading it, it just the stakes went higher and higher and higher into how she was and what was being thrown at her and preventing her to get to where she wanted to be, and she just kept going. Like the perseverance of that lady was just nothing I've ever heard of before. And it was really like basically everything that they said in this book she embodies. Like everything, everything is like it's like constantly adapting, just raising her voice in when she sees things that she doesn't agree with and keeping her voice heard and protesting and all of that. It's just amazing to read, definitely. So if people haven't read this book, this is Wangari Maathai's memoir, and she won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2008, and then sadly she passed away in 2011 at 71, I think. I did write it down. Hang on, let me just have a look. Yeah, 71, which is so young when you think about what a force. Like she was such an amazing person, and she made so much good change, and that's a young time to pass away. So So it's incredibly sad. But yeah, and so she's from Kenya, and she grew up kind of in the countryside of Kenya, and then just went on to do amazing things for the environment and for politics in her area, basically fighting for justice for all kinds of things. So not just the environment, but lots of other things as well. And she was amazing. And I wish I could have met her. I really do.
She's just so inspiring. And like,
yeah.
Well, obviously I knew about, well, I didn't know she existed until you recommended the book. And then when I read up about it, I thought, oh, she's done a lot for the environment. And then I was expecting it all to be, here are all the things that I've done for the environment. And then it goes on about loads and loads of other things that she's done for peace. And I'm just, blows my mind, like how she's risked her life for so much, for peace and for well-being of others. And she's very, very brave lady, and I just, I don't know. I just thought she was amazing.
Yeah, I did think she was amazing. And just, I feel like I learned so much from reading this book about a lot of different areas to do with the environment, but also to do with like colonization of Africa and things that I just didn't, obviously, you know, it happened, but if you didn't live through it, you don't know what that meant to the societies that were basically invaded and ripped apart. And it's just, yeah, it was just amazing. And also politics, like there's a lot that it was nice to see in action what persistence does to, if you see a problem and you want to overcome it, and you just keep going, even though in her situation, her life was in danger a lot of the time. And she was like, yeah, but you know, I'm not going to step down. I'm going to keep going because I'm right. And this needs to change. So you can threaten me all you want, but it doesn't matter. And that was so inspiring. So inspiring to read about. And she also like,
oh, sorry.
no, sorry. I'm just like going to gush about this book now. But like, I just love the fact, even though how she decided, you know, that the problem was the lack of trees and deforestation in Kenya, it was causing loads of droughts, desertifying, is that right? That's not right. Desertification of the area.
Yeah, I saw that word and I was like, I've never seen this word before.
Yeah. And basically just, you know, causing destruction to the land because of all the trees being ripped down. And rather than kind of just complaining about it and only complaining about it to the government and not getting anywhere, she went into the communities and spoke to them about their problems and was like, right, so which of these problems can you fix right now without the government? And what can we do now to help you now, kind of thing? And then she kind of encouraged people to grow trees and look after the trees when they're baby trees, and then give them out so other people could plant them. And it's just literally that thing of, okay, you can talk the talk, but if you want to make actual change, you need to get out there and actually just physically plant a tree and do something to help. And that was just, yeah, it was just really nice to read about that those things can actually work, and people do listen to you if you keep shouting about it. Yeah, and also, but not, it's important, you can blame people and it can be like the government's fault, but then also we all have to take our own responsibilities and try and fix the problems we can, which I think for this age here is very important as well. I think it was an interesting time for us to be reading this book with like the election happening, because I did feel I could see parallels between the two. And I know like this is a completely different situation, but the way governments are run can be very corrupt. And like, yeah, it's just interesting. It was an interesting time to read this book, I thought.
Yeah. I was reading about the corruptness of their government, well, now, like whilst the US election is happening, I thought, well, it's a bit terrifying. I just hope that everything works out the right way in America. But yeah, we'll see. And I didn't realize like how corrupt the government was in Kenya. I didn't realize that. I don't know. I'm pretty ignorant. I didn't realize there was a dictatorship, and that just all the things that citizens should have access to, that have the right, that people have the right to vote. And then that was just completely ignored and taken away. And yeah, there are parallels, aren't there, to America right now, where Trump's like, I need a recount, or whatever he's saying, like there's fraud or whatever. I'm like, you're just a bad loser. But anyway, that's beside the point. But yeah, I just can't believe how brave she was, and just fighting for everything she believed in. She never gave up. Never gave up. Not once in this did she give up. And I'm like,
I was like, how are you still going? I would be under the bed right now, just like crying myself to sleep. Like, you know, she's like, when she was thrown in jail that first time, was just, was horrible initially, and then just like keep going, and just beaten up. And I think what got me was the women who were fighting to get their sons out of prison, and then how they were all just attacked, like just all these older women in there. It was just, it's scary, really. It is very scary when you get into those situations. But yeah, just amazing that she just kept going, and she was always there for people, so she wouldn't leave if she felt like somebody else was in a bad situation. Like she didn't have a son who was locked up, so she could have just put her voice to it and then left. But these women ended up living in the church for like a year, and she lived there with them, like living on the hard bench, because what else is she going to do? Why would she leave them? She's going to stand with them in protest. And it went on for a year. And then, you know, when the nuns and the priest was sent to prison, when they were going into the forest, I think that's when that happened. And then she just went there overnight and like stayed with them as well, and was like, I'm not going to leave you, and tried to get herself arrested and put in so she could be in the jail cell with them. And she did everything. Her thing was like, seemed to be, she didn't ever do things in an angry way, did she? So it's kind of goes hand in hand with what you were saying about the other book. She was saying, in order to try and, when she felt like the police were there watching her and there could be violence, her and her friends would dance around and sing and involve and get them involved. And when she was like stuck in her house and was surrounded by people trying to get into her house, she, you know, would try and befriend them, I guess, and be like, do you want a cup of tea? Why don't you go and get us some milk and I'll make you a tea? And that's kind of how I feel like really helped her out to not get killed, because she kind of won people over with her better attitude and kind of kindness, really. She was amazing.
When she made that cup of tea, I just thought, oh my God, like she's making tea for the opposition basically, and I'm like, oh my God, you're amazing. I don't know, I can't be very articulate about it because I don't really know what to say other than like just, you know, typical positive things. Like there's not one thing I think that stands out for me in the book that she did that I was like, oh my God, because all of it was just surprising. And the amount she put her life at risk so much, and she just fought through so much, and the world is a different place because of her. And I just think that's amazing.
She just made so much change. I did think as well, it was her line, her safety line a lot was going out and like actually speaking out internationally as well. So it really showed how important it is for everybody to stay communicated. And sometimes I guess I do feel like countries can get over involved in each other's lives a little bit, but actually you kind of need that, because you need to keep people in check. Like even in our countries, you know, there's so much corruption in our government, I think, you know, that like, you do need kind of outside perspectives to pull people in line. And it's important to keep that international relationship going, and not shut people out, because otherwise you end up with lots of citizens being in terrible situations. And they really helped her out. Like her friends on the outside, like, managed to get her out of these terrible situations a lot of the time. So I'm trying to think if there's anything. I'm just looking, I made a little bit of notes. But I think the main sorry. Go on. No, you go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say, even though like countries exist, borders exist, different governments exist. Like, we're all still humans at the end of the day. We all still live on planet Earth. So when there is, to such an extreme, people's lives at risk in any one country, I think, yeah, sometimes maybe people get involved when maybe they shouldn't. But I think that isn't the case when people's lives are at risk. Like when the government is so corrupt that they're causing the murders of hundreds of thousands of people, like that is not something that should be allowed anywhere in the world. And I think
Yeah.
People need to help in that situation.
Yeah. Any situations where others are being harmed, then there has to be interference, definitely. And the interference in the right kind of way. So just protect people. Don't dictate what happens exactly, but just protect people.
Blimey, yeah. Because I'm just thinking that that's how wars start sometimes, isn't it? And that's even worse. But I don't know. I'm not a diplomat or whatever they're called. So I'm not a professional, but yes.
It's definitely made me want to learn more about politics, because I mean, I think this year has made me want to learn more about politics, but when you read stuff like this, you can think like one person can make so much difference just with their from things that they do and how encouraging they are. That it's made me want to learn more about it, really. Because if only we all had a Wangari Maathai in our own neighborhoods.
Oh yeah, can you imagine?
To join people together, and I just think someone like her does come few and far between, really. I shared a link with you. I think I haven't listened to it yet, but actually the podcast, which is run by this guy Tom, so I can't see where my camera is for some reason. Tom Rivett-Carnac, he runs a podcast called, oh gosh, what is it called?
Was it Global Optimism?
I think that's the website it's on, but it's it's completely gone from my head for some reason. But so they're on that podcast. He's interviewed Wangari's daughter, who now runs the Green Belt movement in place of her. So I really, really want to listen to that and just, see where the Green Belt movement is today and what they're doing now in 2020. That would be really interesting to watch. So, I'm going to look it up, actually, because it's something like outrage and optimism. I think that's what it is.
Outrage.
I clicked on the rage part you don't like. Yeah.
I listened to it a bit, but then there was someone's voice that was just grinding on me, and I was like, I'm a very sensitive person. I'm starting to learn, but I definitely need to listen to it, maybe with captions or something if I can. Oh, I just need to stop being a wimp and just listen to other people's voices.
Did you get to her bit? Because maybe when she's talking, the other person isn't talking as much.
Oh, I didn't. I should do that. I didn't listen for very long, I have to admit. But maybe I should have done that. And yeah.
Let's see what's going on. Yeah. So even though you had different opinions of the books, was there anything that you got out of reading them both together?
I think so. What you were saying kind of that Wangari Maathai sort of kind of, like you said, embodied a lot of things in The Future We Choose. And I think that the things that she's done with the Green Belt movement, for example, I think is a really good example of how you can implement the stuff in The Future We Choose. I think they work quite nicely together, which was good. I think my only main problem was the sciencey bit. I would like more science in The Future We Choose, but I do think they work quite nicely together just because of the embodiment that Maathai had with just the optimism and stuff. She was a big optimist, and she never said no. She was never defeated, which I think is the attitude we should all have. Yes. What about you?
Definitely. Yeah, I found the same thing, really. It was that they both had the same vibe, in the same kind of we have to get on and do something. And so just keep going and don't let people tell you you can't do it, because it is possible if you put your mind to it. That is definitely what I got out of both of them. Just have resilience. Because even like Christiana Figueres, who she had the task of obviously trying to convince nations to, it wasn't only her obviously, but you know, one of the people who had to kind of put out this initial optimism to get the Paris Agreement done, because when she got to it, it was, you know, in a state from the last time they tried to do it. And so I think she did they reminded me of each other a little bit, Christiana and Wangari, because they had to, although I think with Christiana it was a much more conscious thing, like she wasn't optimistic and then she forced herself to be optimistic, didn't she? I think she said.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like Wangari is a little bit, she's optimistic because she can't believe it's happening. Like she just doesn't, she's like, what, this isn't right, are you crazy? Like I'm gonna push for this, because she can't see it in another way. She can't understand why people would do the wrong thing, I guess. So she was optimistic, but I think it was a bit more by accident. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Definitely. It's more kind of ingrained into her.
Yeah.
Kind of more a natural thing than with Christiana. But I think it's good that Christiana did learn about the optimism, because I think that's really important into, well, change in any sort of sense, not just environmental issues as well. But yeah, now you said that those two are similar, like I hadn't thought about that, and now I don't know why I hadn't, because it seems quite like a natural connection, I feel like, in that they both fought for similar things. And when they were when it was the UN, wasn't it, at Paris, and there was a bomb found, wasn't it, on the metro or something? And there was a high kind of was it a terrorism alert, or there was a strong stake that they could be killed? But she said, do I choose to delay it even more, or do I decide to carry on even though it might cost lives? And I feel like that's similar to Wangari as well. Like she knew that she could be killed, but she still persevered as well to do what's right. And yeah, I think they're both powerful ladies who are very inspiring.
Yeah, just weighing it up and being like, well, this has to be done now, so I'm gonna have to take that risk, and that's the end of it. So it was interesting what Wangari said at one point. I think, did I write down the page where she said that she always gets told that people always say to her, you're so brave, and she's like, I don't think I am brave. Hang on, I think it was on 272, I think. So she says she literally doesn't see the danger, she's just like focused on a solution. That's what she says. So she doesn't even imagine what could happen, she just knows what needs to happen and gets on with it, which is just such an interesting thing, especially like for myself. Reading that was very inspiring, because I always think worst case scenario to everything.
Me too.
And that prevents me a lot of doing anything, because I worry so much about all the circumstances, whereas sometimes you do just need to get your head down and get on with it, and not overthink everything too much, you know. As long as you have some like plan in the back of your head for what to do if it does go wrong, like she had her dancing and singing to try and make people less angry and all of that, I think that's important. But don't let it overwhelm you that you don't do anything and you're too scared to do stuff. That was a very important message for my wimpy self.
I'm glad you said that, because now I think I hadn't really thought about that either, and now I think that's inspired me as well, because I'm a wimp, and well, I don't know, I think I've tried to overcome it in the past few years, but still I think, oh, I can't do that because XYZ will happen if I do that, and like it just gets in the way so much of something that could be so good in my life. Not just like activism, just anything, like social situations or something. Obviously that's not really happening that much this year, but I just worry far too much. I think, like, talking to new people, I'm like, oh my God, what are they going to think of me? I don't want to speak to them in case they think I'm weird, which I think they do eventually think that, if not immediately anyway. But then they're accepting. So I don't mind that as much.
No, I know what you mean. Sometimes I think I do a similar thing where you can just overthink everything. And I don't know if you find this, but I find in social situations sometimes I'm just in my head, so I don't take anything in from the outside. And then afterwards, I can't I don't connect with people always in the right way. Sometimes I can be like very sociable, but there are times where I can't make connections with people because I'm not really listening to them, and all I'm doing is worrying in my head.
I'm
and
the
that
exact same.
comes across. Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? It's hard to be over warriors.
Yeah, like I started this new job and I'm meeting so many new people, and I'm thinking, oh, what I said then was just a bit weird, or oh, am I like, are my hands in a weird position, or am I acting? Do I look weird, or I don't know. Like, I don't know about you, but like I am stuck in my own head, but also thinking, what is my body doing? How is this person perceiving me?
Yeah.
And like being really over analytical of how they're speaking to me as well. Like, trying to find out if they think I'm annoying or whatever. I don't know. I'm just overly paranoid, I think.
Yeah, I am exactly the same, and it gets in the way a lot. So it would be great to find a way to just get out, snap out of the head and get in the world, and kind of, it would help a lot.
Yeah.
But it's a difficult thing to do, definitely, when there's anxiety at play. But yeah, hopefully maybe after reading this book, we can just think about Wangari and be like, what would Wangari do?
I was just thinking that exact phrase, so I'm very glad you said that.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, so I'm really glad that I read it. I'm trying to think if there was anything. I dropped all my notes on the floor, so
Oh no.
so who knows what I wanted to say. But yeah, I think it was literally just the overall message is that I took on board for myself is stop moaning about things and just get on and help.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and yeah, I think that, and try and stay optimistic and not have people be too overly pessimistic about stuff. Because a lot of my friends actually do say to me, well, there's nothing we can do. We're screwed with the environment and that's it, kind of thing. But actually, it's not true if you know a bit. I'm interested to know now, like what books there are where there's proper science involved. Because I studied physics, so I do know enough a bit about. I don't want to say a lot about it, but I know like I did do a global warming module, so I do know a bit about it. So I guess, yeah, I guess as someone who doesn't know that stuff, I guess it must be frustrating because you just want to know exactly what's happening. Because before I knew about it, I wanted to know exactly why they thought all this stuff, like, and why this was happening. Yeah. So there must be books out there. So I'm going to find some. I'm going to find something. Yeah.
That would be good.
Yeah, because it's interesting as well.
Oh, sorry. Oh, what were you going to say?
No, you carry on.
Oh, I was just going to say I did a geology course at uni. I didn't do very well in it, surprisingly. But like that's the kind of stuff that I wanted to see in a book. Like, I don't know, it's just kind of like, here are some processes that you already know. This is how these processes work. But that I don't know if there's like a geology book or something, because we did talk about like CO2 and, well, it was more complicated than that, but I can't remember any of it. So I don't know if that it will be labeled more of as a geology book rather than a environmental book, but I don't know.
I guess, it was more about the solutions rather than like what's actually happening, I guess. And it was much more on a basic level, like what society who isn't interested in the science can do about it.
Yeah,
we know that there's too much CO2, and that's all we really need to know about. So yeah, I know what you mean. The other thing I wanted to learn more about actually was because I'd never thought about why in Africa there was so little water and so little food, and I felt like like it's a bit of a embarrassing thing, but that was a bit of an eye-opener for me, because I hadn't thought about the fact, okay, well, if you cut trees down, their roots is what's helping like draw the water and helping with springs, and once it's all gone, the soil's loose, so you're going to have these like mudslides and things like that. And I really want to look up that kind of science and understand more about that, because obviously like that is the reason why it's like that over there, which is again a consequence of this colonization and intrusion into their lives and destroying the environment, ripping down local people's like belief systems and changing all the names for everything, taking the children into school and forcing them to only speak English. Like it was, like that whole thing that really shocked me, and it shouldn't have shocked me. Do you know what I mean? I should be aware of that stuff, but it was shocking to read about.
I agree. I forgot about that part of the book now, and you just mentioned it, and I remember being so, well, like you said, I was so shocked at that, and then I thought, well, this is what, you know, British and American people have done to the world, isn't it? They've just kind of destroyed so many people's cultures, and well, not just even British people, like
Europeans,
and it's just atrocious that people have thought that this is an okay thing to do. Like it's just very troubling. But I didn't know about the soil and like the roots either. I had absolutely no idea about that. So there's so many, I think there's so many things to learn like from this book. Not only is she an amazing person, but you learn so much, or not just history, but like how kind of environmental things work as well. And it's just such a good book, and I'm very glad that we've read it.
I know she has written other books, and I know Lee, who also joined in with this readathon, but I think she's in bed because she's on the other side of the world. She read the Challenge for Africa, I think it's called.
I can't really remember.
The Challenge for Africa.
Oh yes, the Challenge for Africa. I think there's a little bio.
So that's all about the kind of more political situation in Africa. So I'd like to read that. I'd like to read all her books now. I feel like she has a lot to teach. So yeah.
And I really like the teach-ins that she did as well. So we have like readings and stuff on here, and teach-ins. I just think that's such a good idea, and I could just go on and on and on about her, I think. But I
that's
won't.
The thing, I suppose it's getting on a bit now, isn't it? But I suppose you're right. Like her teachings that she did, like if she had a problem, she went straight to the source and just started educating people. And that's something that once the pandemic's gone, because I'm too wussy to go out too much in the pandemic. But that would be a really good thing to do, is like just go out and just try and help educate people about different issues and stuff. In her kind of style, rather than like the preachy kind of way. There's a fine balance. I don't know where this balance is, because I know that when I try and explain things to people, people get annoyed with me and don't want to hear it. Whereas
I've never been annoyed or anything when you've said things to me.
But I guess it's the way that I'm saying it, because I usually go on lectures when I'm like impassioned. So it's that thing about when someone's angry, you don't want to listen to them. So it's about finding that kind of balance on how to teach people, because you don't want to just storm into a situation and be like, I know best. But somehow she managed to control those situations, you know, and encourage people. And that's like, that's the kind of personality you need to be able to do that. But I think it's so important.
Oops, sorry. I keep on talking over you. I'm sorry.
That's because I keep on talking too much.
Oh, no, you don't. It's just I'm really bad at like judging like when people have finished talking, and I just talk over them. And then it's bad. But yeah, sorry. What were you saying?
No, I was just saying, she has the perfect personality for that. But what were you saying?
Oh, I was just going to say there needs to be more people like her. Like even if I just had like 1% of what she was like, I would be a much better person. And if she was alive, I'd give her a big cuddle.
I'd want to cuddle her.
COVID. If COVID isn't like rampant and
Oh yeah,
stuff, like a good if we were both healthy people.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so super inspiring. Glad we know who she is now.
Oh yeah, yeah, me too.
Yeah, so I guess that is everything. I
Yeah,
guess that's our first round. So I hope people enjoyed it if they joined in, and enjoyed reading different things. I've definitely enjoyed it. Reading the
me
two
too.
books together, yeah, has been really great. So I'm looking forward to the next topic, whatever it shall be,
Me too.
and learning more. And I think what's going to happen is as we go on, we're going to see how everything links together. Like we haven't
That's gonna
even
be
talked about the
fun.
fact that she was a woman and how she was treated as a woman.
Oh yeah. Oh God, that was horrific. Like, and just the racial parts as well of like her being from, is it Kikuyu? Kikuyu. I can't pronounce words. But the
Kikuyu?
fact that there was still racism within Kenya as well, and just how many barriers were thrown at her all the time, and then she just kept on overcoming them, like how she was the first person to get a doctorate in East and Central Africa. I That just astounded me, and like, how do we not know this? I don't know, it just kind of shocked me as well. Um, but yeah, she just overcome so many things to make the world a better place. But yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, so much stuff. She's so good. And also, like, the authors of the other two books, so Tom and Christiana, they're both here with us. And I think I've started following them on Twitter, and they run a lot of like seminars about what's happening now within the world and the different governments. And I say they run seminars, but I mean, they're always doing so much to kind of spread the knowledge. So I think I'm enjoying kind of listening to what they're saying and stuff like that. So I would recommend that if you wanted to kind of find out more about what's happening now, like that Outrage and Optimism podcast and things like that. It's just good to know about. But if anyone's watching and they do know like a good environmental podcast, I would like to know that too, because I never know. There's so many podcasts. I never know where to start and what's like a legitimate one and what's not, kind of thing. So yeah, cool. Thanks, Hannah.
oh no, thank you. Thank you for coming up with such a good idea and finding like the most brilliant woman's book in the whole world. And yeah, it's been very enjoyable, and I'm looking forward to the next round.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Cool. Well, yeah, I guess we'll sign off now, and hopefully we'll have a new topic soon with some books. Yeah. So cool. Thanks for joining in, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon.